Hi friends, welcome to my show Learning from the Life Experiences. And today we are going to learn from the life of a great and renowned surgeon and a philanthropist, Dr. Ahmad Abdul Hai Sahab from Patna. Dr. Ahmad Abdul Hai Sahab, welcome to my show and it's an honor for me to have you here. You are such a great personality. It was a dream to interview you.
Madam, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much.
Today, as we all know that this month is Rabiul Awal month going on, and today is 11th Rabiul Awal, and we are very fortunate to be the Ummah of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So I would like you to first start by saying a few words in for Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then we'll move ahead with our formal interview.
Uh, Thank you very much, ma'am. And as you mentioned, this is the month of Rabiul Awwal, and we are approaching the 12th Rabiul Awwal. And I'm very fortunate that I'm talking to HaleemaSadia. That name again is a very, very eminent and very prominent name in Islamic history. I'd start with one Natia share of Allama Iqbal, which I think is very, very appropriate. But all his poems, all his couplets are appropriate, but this one, he says that आलम आब खाक में
Alame
तेरे खाक तेरे वजूद से ज़हूर आपके सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम आने से क्या ज़हूर हो गया ज़र्रे रेग को दिया तूने तुलुए आफताब रेगिस्तान के ज़र्रे को जो worst community of the world थी, they became the leaders in everything. माशाल्लाह बिस्मिल्लाह किया जाए चलें.
बहुत अच्छा जी. So, Dr. Ahmad Abdul Hai Sahab, my first question would be that you are a renowned surgeon and everybody knows you. So, there is no need of to highlight your work in the field of medicine or in the field of surgery, in fact. So, my question is that whether you have taken this profession as your passion or it's just like family profession. Your father was also equally renowned surgeon in that whole area. Everybody knows him with good name. So was it a family profession or it was your passion to be a surgeon?
Madam, you know, when you are young, certain things are become a part of a family decision. And when I did my MBBS, and alhamdulillah, I did fairly well in the examinations, got the highest marks and all that. So, and my father was a professor of medicine and a very renowned professor, you know, Padma Bhushan, Khan Sahab, physician to the presidents of India and all that. So it was sort of taken for granted that I would become a physician. But I had a friend, a very dear friend, and I remember that day very well. The results had come out just 2 days before Eid. And he had come to our house, and you know, the classical Sevay and Darda and all that. And then he said, "When are you joining?" I said, "I'm joining after 2 days. I'm joining medicine." He said, "Medicine? No, no, you should join surgery." I said, "No, no, no, I have nothing to do with surgery. I'll join medicine." But he was a great man, Ehsan Bhai, himself a surgeon. He said, "Let's do one thing. You are a scientist, so I'm trying to become one." He said, "You give a trial to surgery for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And if you like it, that's done." I said, "Done." So that night, I went to the surgical emergency to work with him. And you know, as they say, it was love at first sight. And that night I decided I'm going to become surgeon. I came and told my father. He said, I think he had wanted me to become a physician, but he said, the decision is yours. And that's why I'm here, madam.
Okay, so that's really very inspiring story that you found your niche at that moment, and then you thought that okay, surgery is for you, and you are for surgery. Although this is not a part of the interview, but my personal question is that when you perform any surgery, so what's going on in your mind at that time? Like it's on the auto mode, your mind is on the auto mode, and then you are performing because you know at one place you see the relatives are there into tears, the other side your ethical responsibility of saving a life, and then your own psychology. So what exactly your doctor thinks at that time when he performs any surgery?
You know, it depends on mood to mood, day to day, operation to operation. There are certain modes, certain operations which you think you are just a robot, knife, surgical incision, okay, artery forceps, Ellis forceps, put the laparoscope in, and it's over before you know what's happening. But there are certain times when I don't know what happens. Every step starts mattering. There are certain times when uh, I get. I remember one incident which I should tell you. I think uh, this was an operation I was operating on one of my aunts, a very renowned lady, and there was a gland in the neck which I was trying to remove, and because of certain comorbidities, we decided to do it under local anesthesia. So we proceeded with the operation, and after I finished, I said, "Arey Ahmad, this सर्जरी में गाना गाता है?" वो नहीं नहीं नहीं, ऐसी बात तो नहीं है नहीं नहीं हम सुन रहे थे कुछ कुछ शेर तो बार बार सुना रहा था so you get into a mode and sometimes one instant comes to your mind and you're stuck to it. Sometimes you go back to the surgical books. Sometimes you go back to the previous surgeries which you have done. I had made this mistake and that patient should not happen again. And sometimes your mind is far away. I mean, you are behaving like a robot. Huh? एक शेर है घूम रहा है दिमाग में और वो ऑपरेशन किए जा रहे हैं. This is a very funny and a sort of
but it's
different.
indeed a very challenging task. I must say that every day you are saving the lives of hundreds of people, and then you are getting their duas and prayers. So that's one side, but it's very challenging, very challenging. I remember that the one person said that we are also making the things like mechanical things, but we are not considered as high as the doctors because they also save the human beings. The answer given was that they do it when the person is alive and you do it when the machine is off and then you repair it. So that is the difference.
I understand.
That's really very big.
I am tempted to tell you about my first surgery. We were in surgical emergency. You can imagine it's about 3 a.m. at night, your party dozing off, and then the peon comes and says, "Sir, emergency kaisa hai?" We all run, and there is a young man sweating like hell, and abdomen all bloated up, and the only attendant is an old frail lady, shriveled up, and she says, "Babua, bachiye ke nahi? Will you able to save him or not?" I said, "हम लोग कोशिश तो करेंगे." And then the blood is not available, and you try something to get the blood arranged and this and that. And then the surgery goes on for about an hour and a half. And then after an hour and a half, I come out all exhausted, my gown full of blood. And at that time, there were not so much of restrictions. I walk out of the operation theater, and then there is this lady, and you can see tears in her eyes. She looks at me. I remove the mask. My face, you can make out that things are in shape. And the only thing she does is she gets hold of my hand and kisses it.
Oh.
And even now, when people ask me, "Sir, you earned so much and this and that, which is your most favorite operation?" I said, "This one." His name was Ramzan Khan. Said Ramzan Khan's operation was the most rewarding. So this is how life goes on, ups and downs.
So yes, Dr. Saab, it was really very touching story, and not story, it's a real incident you have mentioned. And you must be come across like every day, this is your routine, that every day the people are coming with the tears and then you are giving them the smile on their faces. And that is the noblest task a person can do in life. Now coming to your the philanthropist aspect of your life, because you are so much involved into social activities, into welfare activities. So this aspect of your life is inspired by whom?
Uh, you get very much inspired by your parents, by your grandparents. And I'll tell you a small incident. I was a young fellow at about maybe 8 years, 9 years. and I was visiting my grandmother. You know that at that time, this is about 70 years back, our family is strict parda system. The ladies would not go out. There was a very big room, my Nani Amma's room, and there was a big chocolate. You would around and jump and play on that. But at one corner, there was a small window, maybe about 2 feet by 2 feet. And once in a while, Nani Amma would look out of the window. And while we are playing, she looks out, and then she comes down, sits down, and we still keep playing. But he said, Patwari ko bulwao. The Patwari comes covered up and all that. देखिए पटवारी जी वो जो मुंशी जी है ना उनको जो आप पैसा देते हैं हाँ मैडम हर हाँ साहबा मैडम कुछ बोल रहे देते हैं कहा कल से उनके लिए 2 अंडे का इंतजाम करवा दीजिए एक सुबह एक शाम I'm surprised this lady sitting in a room peeps out of the window and sees कि मुंशी जी को 2 अंडे देखिए कितना कमजोर हो गया है
Oh,
so this was sort of these small things give a message to you and then my father and my mother they were great. I mean, it looks a little exaggeration saying it, but I think my mother was an embodiment of innocence and giving, and that's why all the brothers, I think, their dua and their prayers, which have taken up to this height. So this
mashallah.
philanthropy came, and then of course I started reading some things. Maulana Azad saying that if you live for yourself, as far as the community is concerned, you are a dead piece of meat. I mean, he says no, but this is what the
Meaning,
meaning is. Ah, this is the
so
meaning.
if you are not doing anything for the community, you are a dead piece of meat. Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
जिंदा कौमों की निशानी कि वो अपने लिए नहीं दूसरों के लिए जीते हैं. That's true. Now coming
And
to, yes.
there's one more thing which some of my friends I know who are, I wouldn't say antisocial, but who think that I am a big fool going to Sabzi Bagh and talking to these people there, trying to do something. You can't do much, but something. And I always tell them that any community is like a tree. A tree has roots, stems, branches, leaves, and fruit. Okay, Ahmad Abdul Hai may be the fruit today, but he's a fruit because there are roots there. And the roots are there in the stems of Sabzi Bagh. And if you get cut off from the root, this fruit will dry up, shrivel up, and the crows will come and eat it up. So this is my feeling, and I believe in it.
And you lived up to it.
Well, that Allah will tell us when we stand before Him one day. But I try to do a little bit, and a little innovation, a little out of box thinking sometimes.
Now, if we talk about like today's scenario, everybody is talking about COVID-19 and this pandemic, and you as a doctor must be understanding the entire situation better than anyone else. So how
I
this
hope I did.
pandemic has affected you? So how this pandemic has affected Dr. Ahmad Abdul Hai Sahab?
The pandemic came as a surprise. I had never imagined that such a small virus, which we can't even see which we can see only with an electron microscope, will be able to have such a devastating effect over the entire world. And initially, when the things came, uh, I have a daughter, 2 daughters. One is in USA and the other is in UK. That Papa, ख्याल रखिएगा यहाँ वहाँ भी जाए नहीं यहाँ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. We are immune to all these things. But then when it came around end of February, Nitish ji had 2 meetings with us. He invited 6, 7 doctors. I was one of them. A video conference. क्या करना है? क्या हो रहा है? हमने कहा सर क्या हो रहा है ये तो I can't say because we don't know this virus. We know a little bit about smallpox. We know about hepatitis. We don't know this virus. But क्या करना है? The only thing is that at the moment we should do only 3 things. Number 1, you should keep washing your hand. And this hand washing, it reminds me of about 2008 to 9, I was the national president of the Association of Surgeons of India. And we held a meeting about promoting hand washing. At that time, there was no COVID, 10 years ago. And we held a meeting in the Aldney Institute. And at that time, Justice Karju was one of the judges in the Supreme Court, and we invited him to preside over this meeting. So Karju Sahab got up to speak, said, "तुम लोग भी अजीब हो, हाथ धोने के लिए इतनी बड़ी मीटिंग करने की क्या जरूरत थी?" मैंने कहा, "सर, हाथ ही के जरिए से बहुत से अमराज फैलते हैं वगैरह वगैरह." So it took some time sort of convincing him. So I told him, one is hand washing, number two is mask, and number three, social distancing. And number four, if something does happen, if you get febrile, take paracetamol tablets, nothing else. Today, after 6 months, we are more or less in the same stage. All this talk about the new medicines like remdesivir and the itolizumab and plasma therapy, none of them is scientifically proven to be of any effect. And we still should stick to one, of course, the faith in Allah, that Allah is the greatest protector, Ar-Rahman Rahimin and Ar-Rahman Hafizin also. And the fact that these are the only three or four things which are really taking us forward. And I think that this is the one message we should give to everyone, that despite, as a politician, they will come and say, "Doctor Sahab, hum log 500 ventilators भेजने जा रहे हैं फला गांव district level पर." हमने कहा कि sir, ventilators will go, but where will the oxygen come from? And who will run the ventilator? Will you go and run the ventilator? नहीं, क्या चाहते हैं? Just stick to simple things, stick to things which can make a difference in life.
Yeah, that's true. So you are very positive about it, it seems.
Oh, I think things will pass. It is a sort of I say, a punishment from God. We have been doing a lot of bad things at a personal level, at the level of the environment, the level of a social level. And maybe God wants to warn us. When you read, my little good granddaughter, she is 6 years old, she has learned Alam Tara Kaifa. So she was reciting to me Alam Tara Kaifa. I said, "Arfa, do you know what it means?" She said, "Yes, the elephant got killed." Then, a little child, I know, how did you get? So I think that Alam Tara Kaifa is a message for us today also, 2020. The huge elephant, we thought we are the biggest creatures in the universe. The huge elephant is being subdued by a virus which we can't even see with our eyes, but not even with a microscope. You need a electron microscope to see it.
Yes, that's really true. That there was a need of a halt, and that the nature has given us naturally. So thank you very much. Actually, we'll continue our conversation into part 2. So here ends the part 1. Thank you very much for being with me. It was an honor talking to you. Thank you very much.